That was about 1923. He was about 26 years old or so.
Wow. Some of the awards over here are really neat.
Well, some of these are mine, some are his.
Oh, go ahead.
But this one here is after he worked at Armco Steel. He started in 1929. And after he'd been there 25 years, he got this 25-year award. At that time it was called Sheffield Steel. 25 years later, well, more than 25. But when I got mine at 25 years, it was called Armco Steel Corporation. It was called Sheffield when he worked there. When he left the old country, he was a mason or a shriner, not a shriner, but a mason, and it was bestowed upon him by the Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the Grand Ancient Lodge of Scotland.
Wow.
And that was his papers. And this one here is when he joined the Grand Lodge of Scotland before he come to this country.
Are these organizations and stuff, are they still around?
Yeah, Masons.
Okay.
The Shriners,
Yeah.
the Masons, okay. Yeah, and these are the, this is the 11th day of May, 1922, a year before Dad come to this country. 1 year.
Wow.
These two are just mine that say, this was his citizenship papers.
Mm.
He filed to come in when he come in through Ellis
I
Island.
seen a copy of that on the Ellis Island. I didn't pay to go on there yet, so I haven't been able to get very much.
This is the
But
original.
yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
Cause it showed me some of the documents for free on there, you know, and like
Yeah.
the boat and the manifest for the ship.
Yeah,
And,
well, I've got the ship
Yeah.
and everything, and he's come over here on. Now, those 5 items is basically Now, that over there is, you remember Grandma Ryan that was in the rest home?
Mm-hmm.
That's her right there. And that was Grandpa Kensinger. That's Uncle Jake. And that's my mother when she was a little girl.
Wow.
That's Barbara's family there. These are the people that are alive in Scotland today, that is, basically, our direct relatives. Sheena and her husband, Charlie, and her 3 daughters and 1 son.
now, is that something that everybody does over there when they get married? Is wear the
The kilt?
yeah?
No, it's kind of a religious thing, you know. They don't. They kind of wear it there on the main streets and things, but it's not something that they wear around. They
But
dress
they've all
like.
got their unique family colors, though, right?
Well,
Because they're
that's
all
their
different.
clan.
Right.
They're Anderson because Sheena married an Anderson, and that's the Anderson clan. And of course, here's Charlie. He was in World War II. This is Sheena, my cousin. That's Aunt Jean's daughter, and her oldest daughter is Catherine. This is her youngest son, or her only son, Ian. And these are the ones we wanted your dad and mom to go over to Scotland with us to meet, but they never did do it. Okay, probably that's about all. This was my boot camp picture when I was in the Navy.
Now, did you go to boot camp with Grandpa too?
Oh no, Grandpa was in World War One. I was in the Korean
No,
War.
he means.
I'm talking about
Jack-
Grandpa. Yeah.
his grandpa.
Jack didn't come in till 1953, and I went in January of 1952. So I was in about a year and a half before Jack was.
And you guys served on the same ship, though.
Yeah, he put in. I was aboard the USS Wilsey, a destroyer out of San Diego, and Jack was in electrician school. I call him Jack, John.
Yeah.
He was in electrician school, and he was afraid that when he got out of the school to become an electrician, he thought they might send him to a shore base, you know.
Right.
And so he wanted to go into the ship, go
Mhm.
aboard ship. So he put in to go aboard the USS Wilsey, which was the ship that I was on. And we needed electricians, so Jack come aboard. And when he first come aboard, everybody thought he was my kid brother, younger brother. He was bigger, but younger, because I had been aboard ship for about a year and a half before he come aboard ship. So they razzed him quite a bit as being my baby.
That must have
brother.
been pretty neat, though, having some family on there with you.
Well, yeah, it was. It wasn't what you would say wartime, although it was police action. Jack had quite a hard time settling down in life, and he had several marriages and several families before he met Nancy, and they got settled. And as you know, you've got an uncle, John. Oh, well, he's your dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's your dad, but you got Uncle Scott and Stuart, and you got Jackie Lee.
Yeah.
Have you ever met Jackie?
No, I've never met her.
Okay.
I've seen some pictures, and then I've just heard, you know.
Yeah, well, I got pictures of her and their wedding and all this kind of stuff, but
Now, do you keep in contact with her, or?
no, my sister basically does, but I don't. No, she, I did for a while, kept contact with Carol. Carol come by, and in fact, Barbara kind of liked Carol, you know. But
Yeah, the only ones I've seen is the book that that he had is the only
yeah,
pictures
it's
that I've
pretty
seen
much the same as this.
that you have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
I found an interesting piece of paper. It just had a bunch of names and phone numbers on it, and like names and address or date of births on it. And it was just a copy in the back of that book that you put together for him.
I don't know.
And it just had a list of names. I mean, it had all of my dad's wives.
Well,
But my mom,
together.
yeah, maybe she did. Maybe she had.
Because I knew them all. See, Carol, his first wife, was more or less a friend of mine.
Uh-huh.
And Jack had I think a 1938 Harley Davidson motorcycle. And we were down in a girl's yard that lived on Independence Avenue. Her name was Joyce Layton. And Joyce and Carol ran around together. And Mom had sent Jack on his motorcycle down to get me to come home. And when he come down, of course, I introduced him to Joyce Layton and Carol Johnson. And it was several days later, and Jack asked me, he said, "Do you know anything about this Carol Johnson?" And I said, "No, not really. You know, other than she was just a member of the kids we ran with."
Yeah.
And he said, "I'm going to take her out on a date." Well, the next thing I know, they were dating, and he and Carol got married.
That was a pretty short marriage, though, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I'm not just sure that I probably got it somewhere in these papers.
I
But
think I read something like 4 months or something.
oh no, he was married.
It wasn't for.
5 or 6.
He was probably married 3 or 4 years.
Oh, it was a few years?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd probably have to look it up.
Would that have been in like 1953 or something like that?
Well, let's see. He married her. Jack married her in, I might even have it here. They were married in Bentonville, Arkansas, 1948. And trying to figure out when they were divorced. Well, I can't tell you for sure
Okay, well,
when they were divorced.
Yeah.
But Jackie Lee, they were married in 1948, on the 8th of August,
Grandpa was
1948, and Jackie Lee wasn't born until the 25th of March, 1950.
Oh,
So they were
okay.
married for
Okay, so
4
that
years.
was that was Jackie Lee's
Mom.
mom.
Mother.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the address down there? The house that you guys used to live in?
800 Bennington.
Bennington.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Johnsons lived at 5400 Thompson, which was 1 block north of
I thought there was an address off of Cambridge.
Cambridge. That's where my grandmother and my mother and all of them lived when Dad come from Pennsylvania to Missouri.
Oh, okay, okay.
Well, this was Jack, or your grandpa, when he got married to Carol. That's my dad. Your great grandpa.
John the First.
Yeah. Yeah.
The very first one of the.
Yeah. And here's Jack and Carol when they got married. I was working on this thing. This was his.
Yeah, so in here, of course, you're probably going to have more than what he has because your mom, well, as far as up till
Right.
your mom came in, I mean, your mom doesn't have much more behind that, does she?
Yeah. Well, of course, Jackie, or I should say Jackie Lee, she was married several times. This is one of her husbands, and I've got all of her husbands in here that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of her kids that I know of. But I don't really keep up with her.
So are you still researching stuff?
I kind of gave up on, okay, wait a minute, no, this is John, this is your dad. No, this is Jack and Helen. Now, you know Jack married Helen twice.
Twice, yeah, I just read that in the book that,
Yeah.
see, my dad didn't know until last year. How long has it been since you've talked to my dad?
Oh, since Grandpa died, since my brother died.
Yeah, my dad found out last year that my Grandma Helen and Grandpa Jack was not married whenever he was conceived.
Well,
And-
when he was conceived, they may have been married, but let's see. We were at sea, we was in the Sea of Japan, when they called Francis Gall, Fire Controlman 3rd, come to the bridge. And I went up to the bridge to see what the hell what they wanted, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got up there, the captain of the ship was on the bridge, and he stuck his hand out immediately, and he says, "Congratulations." And I thought, for what? You know? And he said, "You're just the father of a baby boy." And I thought, something's wrong here now, you know. So he said, "Yes, your wife just had a son." And so we got it over the communication system. And I said, "You must mean my brother." I said, "Jack." I said, "You might have to call him. He's an electrician." So I was headed back down, and our compartments aboard the ship were just a room apart. And as I come back down from the bridge, they called out, "John Gall, electrician striker, report to the bridge." And so Jack, we passed, and Jack said, "What the hell's going on up there?" I said, "Oh, I don't know, Jack." I said, "They'll probably tell you everything they want you to know." So anyway, come find out, when he got up, he come back, and he was all smiles, and boy, he was real happy. He said, "I got a boy, I got a boy."
Well, my dad, it was something to do with the marriage thing. The license, when they got, the day they got married or something, wasn't even until
Okay, well, what day did they get married?
after he was born.
Well, okay, now the first time Jack married Helen Bader, he married her, I think that was the first time he married her.
My dad was born in 1955.
Right.
Yeah, but he married, okay, this is after you divorced Wanda there. Okay. He married Helen on 10th of December 1954.
Oh.
And John was born January 26, 1955. So see, he was 26 plus 20, 46 days after they were married that John was supposedly born.
So that means that when they got married, she was already pregnant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. 'Cause see, he was born.
So I wonder
46
what he was
days.
talking about. What he was going by is.
Okay, and their first
Could be
divorce
inaccurate.
come official.
Sure, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Here's their marriage license right here. Helen Marie Bader, John F. Gall Jr. 9th day of December 1954. It was filed on the 10th of December. Now let's see, the next time he married her was on 24th of October 1959. And let's see when they got a divorce. Here's the actual signature on it.
He's got all the...
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
everything I got is absolutely. That was his 5th marriage. See, I got no children to this marriage. See, his first marriage to Helen in 1953. On 4th of February 1971, John F. Gall Jr. filed for divorce in Independence, Jackson County, Missouri, for a divorce from Helen. That's in book DR 8, page 591.
So, how far have you researched back the Gall history in Scotland as far as...
About 150 years. This book...
See, I have never known our family crest until the book that he brought over.
Yeah, well, I'll go back to Peter and Francis and all the other family in another book.
Hold this camera long.
I wish you had your own. Sushi knows his business. He's all like, this is the document.
How's it being filmed?
Now Nancy and all of us just met a cousin in Vermont. 1775 is when I go back. That's how far I go back.
Wow.
That's the Revolutionary War.
The first information I got is in 1730 when William Gall married Mary McPherson in Scotland at Rothmay Parish in Banffshire, Scotland. And they were married on July 6, 1758. Now that comes out of the church records.
Now, I was telling him, because he said, you can usually get everything you want to know or do from the internet. And I told him that when they had records from like the 1700s, no one has gone in and scanned all that and put it on the internet. You actually have to search for that stuff.
Now, I personally paid out of my pocket. I hired a researcher in Scotland.
Uh-huh.
And she went back to the church records in Scotland and found out when they were united in marriage and when they got their divorce. And they had a total of 5 children. James was the oldest. He married Jean Dempfisher, John George, Alexander, Peter. Peter's our family line. All of our family line.
Okay.
And see, these are the church records, and you can see where they're dated. This in 1760, and this one here is, they're getting kind of to the point where you can hardly read them. This is October the 12th, 1760, and this is when they were married. But see, these come out of the church records. I didn't dream these things up.
Yeah.
Or the LDS church didn't put these down. These come out of church records. Okay, now this is Peter Gall, and he was a farmer. And his father was William Gall, and his mother was Mary McPherson. And he married Margaret Mackey on the 3rd of April, 1803. Now this is what, 211. 207, 208 years ago. And they had John, Peter, William, Mary, Margaret, George, and Anne. And I got all who they married. Right here it says Peter Gall and Mary and Margaret Mackey, both of this parish, having contracted alimony and pledges this farm, and this was in 1803.
And so this is all out of a church in Scotland here.
Oh yeah, all these records come right out of the church records in Scotland. And every one of their kids, every time they had a kid, you know, it tells when the kid was born, what they named him.
Yeah, okay.
So see, they actually kept pretty good records.
Back then, the churches kept, the churches did, right?
The churches kept all the records. And then his son, he had George, who was then our relation, Peter, George, and George then come up with our family as of today. Francis Harvey, that stuff that I had upstairs, that's his. He married Isabel Mackey Ray, which was Grandma, my grandmother. And then when they had their family, then that's when my father, John F. Gall, was born. And
The first.
yeah, of course, this was grandmother's family. Her father was William Ray, and her mother was Helen Nicole. And she ended up married. She is Isabel Mackey, and she married Francis Harvey Gall.
So, what do you know about, as far as, well, you've got pictures of our family crest and stuff now. Wasn't there other things involved with, as far as like colors and something?
Things that represented, like, weren't we in the house of McGregor or something? Or
No.
what was it?
No, we didn't have, the Galls did not have a tartan. You probably don't understand what a tartan is. A tartan is a group of people that maybe they didn't farm or anything, and they come into your village and they would tell you that for 20% of your crops that you grow, we will protect you. And so that become a clan, and we were under the Clan Donald. There's some books behind Scott there that tells you we were a member of the Clan Donald. And Mac is only thing it means, it's the son of Donald. MacDonald. McRae, it's the son of Ray, Mac Ray. And Grandma was a Ray, R-A-E, and she had a clan, and her clan had a castle, the McRae Castle. But we didn't, as the Galls, we did not have a castle. Now, there are just some of them.
Now, are any of these ones that would have that stuff in there?
Yeah, it'll. In fact, one of these books will tell you. And the clans had different. Here's our different clans. Some of them were dressed. They were dressed tartans, and some of them were war that you wore during battle. You know. I do have some, well, I've gotten rid of one of my vests because it was too small. I outgrew it. I've got one left that I keep taking to